It all started as an ordinary day, but what I learned in the evening changed the way I look at the people close to me. What happened at the end completely changed my life forever. The moment I stepped into the house, something was wrong. Not loudly, not obviously, not the kind of wrong that screams in your face. It was subtle, like an itch at the back of the neck you can't scratch. I had cut the business trip short by 2 days. I told no one, didn't even call Claire before landing. I wanted to surprise the kids. That's what I told myself. Maybe part of me already knew. The house was quiet when I came in, a little too quiet for 6:30 on a Friday evening. Usually the kids would be clattering around the living room or begging for snacks they weren't supposed to have. But the first thing I saw was a pair of sneakers in the hallway. Not mine, not hers either. These were size 11, black with neon green soles. Flashy, like someone who didn't know when to leave a room quietly. I stared at them longer than I should have, like staring would help them vanish. The guest room door was ajar. The softest light flickered through the gap. That small lamp on the nightstand, the one with the cracked base I'd always meant to fix. We never used that room. Hell, we hadn't opened it in months, not since Claire's cousin stayed over in June. I remember that because the guy clogged our toilet and blamed the kids. I dropped my jacket without realizing it, stepped toward the door on instinct, slow and silent. There were sounds from inside, not loud, not even clear, just murmurs, like a foreign film left running, voices too faint to understand. The air was warm, the door too easy to push. The first thing I saw was her hair, Claire's hair, tangled and damp looking, spilling across the pillow like she'd just woken from a dream. But she wasn't asleep. She was lying there in my t-shirt, knees pulled up slightly, twisted towards someone else. Sam. He was half-dressed, shirtless, with his jeans barely clinging to his waist like they'd been tossed on in a rush. There was sweat on his neck. He looked straight at me, but no words came. None needed to. Claire didn't move. She didn't cry. She didn't scream or scramble to explain. She just looked at me like she'd been caught standing too close to a ledge. Sam mumbled something. I didn't register it, then scrambled to grab his things, bolting so fast he left his socks behind. I stood there long enough for the silence to feel unbearable. And then I turned, walked straight past the hallway, into the office. That same office where we used to dream about a third child, where I used to run my hands across a vision board pinned with photos, names, floor plans, and ideas. I locked the door behind me, sank to the floor, and just stared at the wall until my legs went numb. That night, I took every photo out of its frame. The wedding portraits, the beach trip to Carmel, the grainy ultrasound picture Claire loved so much she had it scanned and kept in her wallet. I burned them all, one by one, feeding them into the fireplace until the room smelled like ashes and plastic. The next morning, I was gone. I left the house while it was still dark, didn't pack anything more than a duffel bag and my laptop. I shut my phone off at a gas station and didn't turn it back on for 3 days. I checked into a motel off I-80, the kind of place where the ice machine never works and the smell of bleach clings to everything. I'd stayed there once years ago with the guys from my old college band. We drank cheap beer in the parking lot and thought we were going to change the world. Now I sat cross-legged on the carpet, scrolling through bank statements and browser history, building something that felt like a blueprint for betrayal. The name Sam Caldwell kept coming up in places he had no reason to be. Credit transfers, reservation confirmations, even a shared car rental 2 cities away. Claire had used our joint account 2 weeks earlier to wire money to what she claimed was a business gift for a relative. That same transaction showed up under a listing for a small office space registered to a name I didn't recognize. It wasn't until I searched the LLC that everything fell into place. Sam was running some kind of shell company, bankruptcy consulting, fake filings, asset hiding. It was sloppy. The office didn't even exist. The listed address was a mailbox drop inside a vape shop. I started digging harder, following the trail like it owed me something. I called in a favor from a friend who used to work in financial compliance. Nothing major, just enough to push a formal inquiry. But what made my spine lock cold was the signature on the lease document. It was mine. or supposed to be. But I had changed my signature style a month before. Something small, a shifted crossbar, just a new habit. She didn't know. She used a scan of the old one. That's how I knew she wasn't just unfaithful. She was complicit. Every hour I sat in that motel, the more I pieced together. This wasn't just a fling. This was a pattern, a network. Sam wasn't just screwing my wife. He was using her, and she had let him. Maybe eagerly, maybe to feel powerful, maybe to escape something I couldn't name. I stared at the ceiling for hours that last night, the air conditioner clicking on and off in a dying rhythm. Outside, headlights passed like ghosts. I didn't cry, not once, but I clenched my fists until my knuckles cracked. There's a silence that settles in when you realize your home was never really yours. Just a stage set you didn't know had already been dismantled. When I finally turned my phone back on, I had 57 missed calls. Most were from Claire, a few from her mother, one from Sam. I blocked every number. Not out of anger. I just didn't want to hear the excuses. I didn't want to listen to someone try to mop up blood with words. I had no intention of going home. Not yet. There was still too much I didn't know, and too many things I needed to see for myself. The motel walls felt closer by the third night. I couldn't breathe under that ceiling anymore. The carpet stank like mildew and something worse I didn't want to name. So I packed up, turned the room key in without a word, and drove. Nowhere in particular. Just out, back to the city, not to the house. I wasn't ready for that. I parked in a strip mall lot and stared at my hands for a long time. They didn't shake. I think that scared me more than if they had. Back home, Claire had no idea where I was. That was the point. She'd called from our daughter's tablet the night before, the last thing not blocked, and left a message I didn't bother listening to. Her voice would only slow me down. Every minute I wasn't moving forward was another inch she could bury the truth. I knew where she worked. Top floor of the Riverpoint Business Center, in an office lined with glass and overpriced ergonomic chairs. I used to drop by with coffee during her late shifts. I remembered the layout, and now I had a way in. A week before the affair blew open, I had taken a second interview at a security systems firm. Small company, decent benefits, high turnover. I didn't care about the job. I cared where they had contracts. And as it turned out, they serviced Riverpoint. So I took the job, didn't even negotiate pay. My background in systems architecture made me an easy hire, and within 2 days I had a badge. Not a named one, but a rotating technician pass. Perfect for what I needed. On Wednesday morning, I clocked in early, claimed I was scheduled to check floor panels and server heat maps, brought my old tool bag from my freelance days, filled it with just enough to look the part. A pair of insulated gloves, a label gun, a cable tester, and an old clipboard. I rode the elevator up like a ghost. The 24th floor was nearly empty. Inventory week. Most of the team was off-site doing location audits. Claire's office was locked, but not alarmed. I slid my card, pushed the door open, and slipped inside. The room smelled like stale perfume and dry coffee. I scanned her desk. Clean. Too clean. The drawers were locked, but I jimmied them open with a flathead from my bag. Inside, I found files, spreadsheets, contracts, quarterly targets. The usual. But in the bottom drawer, beneath a bundle of old HR manuals, I found a small black flash drive. No label, no tags, just tucked away like a bullet waiting for a trigger. I pocketed it. Then I checked the office's backup tower, an external server they use to archive emails and send reports to regional execs. It was synced to a network I had full access to under my new job's admin rights. It took minutes to start scraping a copy. That's when I heard footsteps. Quick ones. I barely had time to close the drawer and shut down the terminal before the door opened. A security guard stepped in. Young guy, maybe early 20s. Eyes scanning. "Didn't see you on the service log," he said, brows pulling tight. "Emergency fill-in," I replied, flashing my badge with a shrug. Tier 3 call about a firewall spike. Dispatch said to clear the email hub manually. He stared at me, not convinced, but not fully suspicious either. "All right," he said. "Just make sure you log out when you're done." I nodded. Waited a full 60 seconds after the door shut before packing up fast. The clone was only halfway done. but it would have to do. I pulled the USB, wiped my prints off the drawer handles with a shirt sleeve, and left. Back at the motel, I plugged in the flash drive. That's when the truth bled out. Dozens of emails between Claire and Sam, going back almost a year. Most were dry, project pitches, budget estimates, resource splits. But buried deeper were locked PDFs, attached with strange subject lines like alternate route plans and client filters. I ran them through a decryption tool. Inside were layouts of fake financial structures, funnel accounts, offshore shells, falsified payouts to fake vendors. And Claire's name was on every authorization line, sometimes in her handwriting, sometimes, once again, using the scanned version of my old signature. The worst was a folder titled JAS Backup. JAS Jeremy, Anna, Sam, our kids, and him. Photos, candid ones, of our children. At school, at the park. Claire had sent them to him, captioned, with notes like, Anna's getting better with the violin, or Jeremy's afraid of thunderstorms again. She'd shared our family life with him like it was a story she was writing, like he was part of it, like I wasn't. I didn't remember falling asleep that night, but I woke with my laptop screen still glowing and the weight of that folder still on my chest. I didn't rage, didn't scream. I acted. 2 days later, I handed the entire drive to a detective with the Economic Crimes Unit, quietly, anonymously at first. But when he asked for a formal statement, I gave it, signed every line, described every document, gave names, dates, access points, made it impossible to ignore. Then I went back to the house, not to talk, to watch. Claire was home. So were the kids. I waited in the car as the unmarked vehicle pulled in behind me. The detective stepped out, followed by 2 officers. Claire opened the door before they knocked. Maybe she'd seen us through the window. Maybe she already knew. I walked in behind them. Jeremy was on the couch reading. Anna was playing with colored beads, stringing a bracelet like she always did on Saturdays. The officers read the warrant. Claire shouted, swore, tried to stop them from opening drawers, touching files, taking the external drive from her desk. But it didn't matter. It was all legal now. They found everything. The same flash drive, the same JAS folder, a bracelet she had once made for Sam, our daughter's name engraved on the underside. I nearly vomited when I saw it. The detective nodded at me after they collected the evidence. Silent acknowledgement. Claire looked at me like a stranger, mouth open, tears forming, but no words. I didn't say a thing, didn't need to. Not after everything. They didn't arrest her, not yet. But she was served a summons. She'd have to appear in court. This wasn't just about affairs anymore. This was fraud, conspiracy, financial manipulation, possible endangerment. It was bigger than either of us now. That night, I slept in the guest room, the same one where I found her. The irony wasn't lost on me. She didn't knock, didn't speak. Neither did I. But I heard her crying, quiet, pathetic sobs from down the hall, almost like a child. I closed the door, turned the lock, and stared at the ceiling until dawn bled in through the blinds. Because tomorrow, I was taking the kids, and I wasn't coming back. The next morning, I picked up the kids without saying much. Jeremy ran to the car like always, shoelaces undone, backpack half zipped. Anna climbed in behind him, quiet as usual. Claire stood on the porch, arms folded, watching like she didn't know whether to wave or scream. I didn't look back. I told them to buckle up and pulled away. We didn't go home. We went to a quiet neighborhood on the far edge of town, near my sister's place. I signed a lease for a 2-bedroom above a closed-down pharmacy, paid 3 months up front, no questions asked. I furnished it in 2 days. Fold-up table, bean bags, second-hand futon. It wasn't much, but it was safe. Claire called, left voicemails, some long, some pathetic, some angry. Not once did she say the word sorry. I never answered. Within the week, the court granted me temporary custody. Her financial activity made her unstable in their eyes. They froze our joint accounts. Her offshore shell company, gone. Recovered through court order, every cent clawed back. Her position at the company she helped build, stripped. Compliance violation was the term in the press release. Internally, they just said liability. I didn't touch the money. I opened a new account in our daughter's name and dumped every recovered dollar into it. The bank clerk asked if I wanted access. No, I said. Only her. When she's 18. Jeremy asked questions, sharp and careful. He wanted to know why Mom didn't say goodbye. Anna didn't ask anything, just started drawing darker pictures. Black skies, houses with cracks. At night, I sat in the hallway listening to them sleep. It was the only time I felt like anything was still intact. I didn't rest. I kept pushing forward. The DA's office had opened a case. Sam's name was being passed around now, and Claire had the nerve to act confused, like she didn't know where he went. Maybe she didn't. Maybe he left her the way she left me, suddenly and without a word. I hoped he had. I hoped she waited every night for a message that would never come. That week, I went back to her office building, not to see her, just to feel the echo of what she left behind. I still had my badge from the security contractor job. I slipped through the side entrance like any tech guy on a Thursday. Her desk was cleared out, but her office wasn't locked. I walked in, sat in her chair, watched the reflections in the windows across the street. In the bottom drawer was one thing left, a USB drive, cracked casing, tape across the side. Inside were voice recordings, not documents, not spreadsheets, just audio files. One was different, 47 minutes, dated the day before I caught her. I played it. Her voice filled the room, nervous, low, not speaking to Sam, talking about me, about the kids, how she felt invisible, how I didn't need her. Then silence. A cigarette lighter clicked. "He doesn't see me," she whispered. Not in a sad way, in a resentful one. Like I'd stopped falling for the lie, like that's what offended her. She started talking about Sam, about leaving, about offshore money, about how I'd forgive her, like always. I stopped the recording right there, because that's where she was wrong. The next morning, I drove to La Jolla. The beach was almost empty. A rust-colored storefront near the boardwalk had a for lease sign. I walked in, spoke to the owner, said I was opening a vintage bike repair shop. "You any good with bikes?" he asked. "I'll learn." He gave me the keys. I spent 2 days turning it into something that looked like a beginning, not a future, not a home, just a place with clean walls and no ghosts. I fixed up a couple bikes, ordered parts, built a rack from old wood planks. People started dropping by, not for bikes, but for quiet, for the smell of chain grease and ocean wind. Jeremy and Anna came after school sometimes. We ate ice cream, watched the sun drop below the water. I didn't speak much, and they didn't press. One afternoon, the shop phone rang. Unfamiliar number. I knew who it was. I let it ring. Then again the next day. I slid the phone in a drawer, shut it, walked outside, and stood in the sun with my hands in my pockets. I didn't feel angry anymore. Didn't feel betrayed. Just nothing. That scared me more than anything, because there was still one voice I hadn't heard since the night he ran barefoot out of my house. Sam. And I had plans for him. It happened on a Tuesday. Nothing special about the date. The sky wasn't darker than usual. No thunder rolling in. No storm to mark what came. It was just quiet. Warm. Blue. I had just finished tuning the gears on a rusted-out cruiser someone brought in for their teenage son. Hands greasy, sleeves rolled to the elbows, music playing low from a Bluetooth speaker hooked to a shelf bracket. Jeremy and Anna were at school. The shop door was open, and the breeze carried the scent of salt and kelp in like a postcard from another life. The bell above the door didn't ring when he walked in. I had disconnected it days ago. He stood there like a shadow, like something you forgot existed until it reminded you, like rot in a wall you never opened. Sam, hair shorter, beard trimmed down, designer sunglasses, the kind men like him always wore to pretend they were bigger than the guilt they carried. He smiled like he expected a reaction, like he thought I'd been waiting to hit him or scream. I wiped my hands on a towel and said nothing. He looked around the shop, then back at me. "This is where you ended up?" he asked. I didn't answer. "I figured you'd want to talk." Still nothing. He shifted, nervous now. Claire's gone. You know that, right? She moved out of state. I know, I said finally. His face twitched like he hadn't expected a reply. I didn't come here to fight, he said. That's not why I'm here. Then why? He hesitated. Then he stepped closer, pulled something from his jacket pocket. A flash drive. Black. Identical to the one I found in her office. He held it out. I made a copy. Before everything blew up. It has emails, conversations. Proof she was planning to screw me over too. You think I was the only one she used? She was playing both sides. I didn't take the drive. He kept his arm out, hands shaking slightly now. You could bury her, legally, financially. She's out there, trying to start over like none of this happened. You could finish it. I looked at him. Really looked at him. The man who sat next to my wife in my shirt. The one who ran out without his socks. The man who thought this moment, this final act, could be a deal. Like he was offering closure, not bargaining for forgiveness. I already buried her, I said. She's just too stupid to know it. His mouth opened, but no words came. Take your drive and get out. He stood there too long. Then he turned and walked out without another word. I watched him go, waited until his car was out of sight, then locked the shop for the day, drove to the coast, parked at the overlook near Windansea where the sand turns red just before dusk. Claire called again that night, first from a blocked number, then from her mother's phone. I let it go to voicemail, just like all the others. Her voice was hoarse now, like someone who hadn't been sleeping. She said she wanted to talk. She said she missed the kids. She said she didn't blame me for hating her. I didn't delete the message. I didn't listen to the rest either. The next morning, I met with the DA one last time. He asked if I wanted to testify when the indictments landed. Said my original testimony was more than enough, but my presence would strengthen the case. I told him I wasn't interested. Let the system finish what it started. I was done handing her power. A week later, I signed the final custody order. Full guardianship. Claire didn't contest it. Her attorney filed a single statement. My client waives objection. No fight, no appeal. She never even showed up in court. I walked out with the paperwork in one hand, my daughter's small sketch folded in the other, a picture of a house by the sea, with bikes outside and a sun that actually smiled. In the weeks that followed, things got quiet. Not in a fragile way, not like waiting for something else to break, but the kind of quiet that feels earned, steady, whole. The shop grew busier. Locals came not just for repairs, but for silence, for air that didn't hurt to breathe. I taught Jeremy how to patch inner tubes, taught Anna how to tune a chain. We took long rides up the coast on weekends, wind in our hair, the sky stretching wide above us like it had been holding its breath too. Claire tried once more. She sent a letter through her sister, handwritten, scented like the same perfume she wore the night I met her. It was 3 pages long. Said she still dreamed about us. Said she'd been sick, manipulated, lost. Asked if I could ever see her as the woman I married again. I didn't burn the letter. I didn't respond either. Some things don't deserve a final word. That Sunday, I brought the kids to the shore just before sunset. They ran ahead, chasing the tide, screaming when it turned on them. I sat on the sand with a thermos of coffee and watched the light die over the water. The phone buzzed once, then again, then stopped. I didn't check it, just sat there, just breathed. No more wiretaps, no more GPS trails, no more pretending to sleep next to someone who was already gone. I looked at the horizon and smiled, small and tired. Let her burn, let the whole lie collapse, and let it sink, slow and unhurried, into the ocean she always pretended she loved. That's all for now, folks. Thank you for being with me today and listened. And if you liked my story, please subscribe, hit the like button, and comment below what you think about all this, and what would you do if you were me. Also, don't forget to check my other stories in description below.